Welcome to The Explainer. We're kicking things off today by diving into something really critical, right where technology and trust collide. I'm talking about the expert advice that companies spend literally billions of dollars on. But what if that advice isn't quite what it seems?
So this is actually the first of a 10-part series, and it's all based on this really comprehensive report from Virtualization Options LLC. For this first part, we're going to unpack the big foundational problem that the report digs into, and that's the hidden risks, the stuff lurking just beneath the surface of all that expert advice that shapes our entire tech world.
Okay, so picture a boardroom, just like this one. Inside, huge, high-stakes technology decisions are being made every single day. We're talking about choices that direct millions, sometimes even billions of dollars in spending. And what are they often based on? Well, they're relying on what's supposed to be impartial, expert industry research.
But, and this is the big question we're tackling today, what if that foundation, the very bedrock for these massive choices, is cracked? What if the expert advice you're paying for isn't actually objective at all?
All right, let's get into it. The report we're looking at really frames this whole thing as a fundamental conflict. You've got the promise on one side and the peril on the other.
So, the promise is pretty straightforward, right? It's about getting these expert insights that help companies make the absolute best decisions. That's the goal. But then there's the peril, and that's the real danger here. A hidden commercial bias that can completely distort the findings and, honestly, lead to some incredibly expensive mistakes.
So you have to ask, where does this danger, this peril, actually come from? The report makes it super clear. This isn't about a few bad apples trying to scam the system. No, it's a problem that's literally built into the very structure of how this research gets done. And there's a name for this. The report calls it a structural conflict of interest. Now that sounds a little academic, but what it boils down to is pretty simple. It's the tension you get when the company being researched, their product or their market, is also the one cutting the check to pay for the research. See the problem?
And that right there is the heart of the matter. I mean, think about it. When a sponsor stands to make a ton of money from a glowing report, well, that creates a really powerful incentive, doesn't it? An incentive that can totally compromise the integrity of the whole process, right from the get-go.
Now, its influence, it's not always as clumsy as someone just, faking the data. It's usually way more subtle than that, but just as powerful. So how does it actually work? How do they shape the narrative from the very beginning?
Well, the report breaks it down into 3 key steps. First, you've got priority setting. The sponsors get to decide which questions get asked, and surprise, surprise, they tend to be the ones that make them look good. Second is topic suppression. Anything that might be critical or just plain inconvenient for the vendor, those topics often get ignored, or the funding just dries up. And the result of all this? You get a skewed record. Over time, the entire public understanding of what's actually important gets completely warped.
Okay, so this is where it gets really serious. What are the actual real-world consequences of having this skewed record? I mean, what happens when the information that everyone relies on is constantly being tilted in one specific direction?
And this quote from the report really hits the nail on the head. This whole process, it doesn't just push certain ideas forward, it actively hides other ones. And that creates these huge gaps in our understanding, what the report calls dangerous blind spots about the real risks and capabilities of technology.
What this means ultimately is that we're all trying to navigate this incredibly complex tech world, but the map we're using, it wasn't drawn by a neutral party. It was drawn by the people trying to sell us something. So the map ends up showing us what the vendor wants us to see, not what the landscape actually looks like.
Which leaves us with a really provocative question to think about, doesn't it? If the map is drawn by the people with something to sell, where are we all really headed? Make sure you join us for part 2, because that's when we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the specific tactics used to make sure we all follow that biased map.